Oh, hang on. I have a look.
Dude, I haven't seen the sun in like 5 or 6 days.
I know.
It's so depressing.
Actually, there's kind of a milky blue sky finally. It was
Okay.
gray here for the last like 2 days.
That's all it's been. It's gray since like Wednesday.
And it's supposed to be storming tomorrow, though. Like a
And,
big
and if you look at the Apple forecast, hold on. It's just gray. It's just clouds. It's just gray. Like
You're in Michigan.
I'm about to Google like where is the sun closest to me, and I'm gonna drive there just so I can see that it exists.
We almost, but I mean, it's getting dark now. Like the clouds are kind of breaking up, but it's, it'll be dark in a half hour. So whatever. And it's going to storm tomorrow, which it's going to get warm. It's going to get 60 tomorrow, but then thunderstorms.
Wow.
So I actually like that. So that'll be nice. But they put out for Christmas because we always, like you guys probably, by the way, hey everybody, what's going on? We think we have white Christmases more than we do. Like I think I read a report that in St. Louis we have like a 17% chance of a white Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember like white Christmases all the time when I was a kid, but I think it's a false memory. But the National Weather Service just put out like they say the weather around Christmas in St. Louis, the temperatures are going to be 15 to 20 degrees below normal. Like
wow,
lows of 0, highs in the 20s. So if we get any kind of precipitation, we should have a white Christmas. I'm kind of excited. I like that stuff. We'll see. Because I'm not running outside, so I don't care. Like I used to always run outside, and I'm like, oh no.
I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with it because like I always look at like my Google Photos and like look at memories on this day just for fun while I'm like sitting on the couch or whatever. And I've seen so many photos lately of me like snow blowing or like shoveling and all that. And I'm like, man, I haven't done that once. Knock on wood this year.
I know. It's perfect. Rhonda Lee probably does it all the time. Up where she's probably like laughing because like I was like I even put this morning when I walked Riley, I even put the little heaters in my gloves, which it wasn't that cold. It was like 39. Like I put them in. I was like, I just wasted a set of that. Like
oh man, I know, but I wouldn't mind it this time of year. I mean, it did snow. Like it just hasn't been like sticking. We get flurries, a little bit here and there so far, but
we actually did. We had one snow already, like one, and it stuck, but it only stuck for like 8 hours.
That was like in November for us, and then like this weekend, like it snowed a bunch, like on like Saturday night. But it was so pretty because it was like all in the grass and in the trees, but it didn't stick to the road.
So like, it
was perfect. I loved it. Like
it was
great. It's pretty, and I don't have to shovel it.
Yeah, and it was gone. Like 8 hours later,
it's gone in the morning. Yeah,
gone. Like you get a picture, but by then nobody had the Christmas lights up. Like I love when you get a good snow and everybody's got the Christmas lights up. That's when I love to run out and get because we have new Christmas lights this year. Pam, we have this argument all the time about Christmas lights. I like the old like 70s, 80s opaque big bulbs, like random colors. Like that's my jam. She likes either icicle lights, like the little ones that hang down like icicles, or like white ones. Or this year we have red and white alternating kind of bigger bulbs, which they look really good. They do look really good. Mm-hmm. But the house like 5 down has the exact same things, and they had theirs up first. So but they look good. But if I had my druthers, I'd have the just random big opaque bulbs.
I like both. I do. I like both of those styles.
You guys have them up?
No, I don't do lights.
Pain in the butt, man. Our house isn't that big, so it doesn't take that long. We just get out the ladder and go right across the gutter.
I say every year for Elizabeth's birthday, just right around yours, as you know, right before when you start doing all this stuff, that I'm going to pay some company to go do Christmas lights.
Pam this year said there's a company I'm going to pay. Like you don't even have to buy lights. She's like, they bring the lights. They basically rent the lights and they just hang them. I was like, we are not paying somebody to hang the lights.
I don't know how much it costs. It's probably a ridiculous amount.
What I was thinking, because I mean, the thing is around us, there's some big. We have a small house, but around us there are big houses. I mean, big houses like on country clubs. And those are the people that need to do that's why the signs are out on the roads, because you would need these giganto ladders to get to their roofs. Like,
Yeah, that's
my
so
brother
I don't know.
have a house like that. It's
Yeah, I
like
don't know how I'm gonna
50
do my
feet up.
yeah, because I can't get to like the upper deck of my house like on my ladder, so like I need
Yeah.
someone to.
Yeah, we kind of have a peak over our garage, and Pam
Mhm.
wanted to put lights up there, and I was like, because our ladder won't reach. I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'll climb onto the roof because I can put the ladder on our deck, and from the deck I could climb onto the roof. And I said, so then I can get on the roof and I could just dangle over. She's
That
like,
seems
you are
dangerous, man.
like, we're
Yeah.
not putting lights on the
No,
peak.
you are not doing that.
Like, it'll be fine. But I did in our old house. I still like almost got shivers just thinking about this. Like just now, I was hanging the lights and I was in a hurry because it was like it was like halftime during a football game or something over like Thanksgiving weekend. This is right. I don't think Pam and I were married yet. Like I was over there and I was trying to do it real fast. And I remember like I was putting the lights up there and I was on the roof and I took a step, man, and I was closer to the edge of the house than I thought I was. Dude, I almost went over the edge of the house. Like I caught my balance at the last second, but my foot slipped off the edge, and I thought I had like 10 feet. My
Wow.
foot was like off. And I mean, it would have been like, I mean, it probably wouldn't have killed me, but it probably would have probably broke both legs. Like my heart came out of my chest.
Yeah,
It
I
was,
bet.
oh my God.
I'm glad.
I just got goosebumps thinking about that because that was like a near-death experience from.
Sorry, laughing. I know
I'm
it's not funny, man, but it
was
kind of
funnier
is.
than crap because I made it. But oh my God, like my heart's like palpitating right now thinking about it because like it's one of those things where, like I didn't even realize like I probably had like headphones in. I'm just up there thinking I'm like the king of the world. I take one step, my foot goes, and like there's nothing there. I was like,
Oh my
I
goodness.
was probably inside like making a hot chocolate or
And
something.
that's how the Our Guest podcast ended.
That's it. The last episode right there. That's how the streak ends. No, I mean, bring the microphone to the hospital. Oh
Like
my
Mike's
God.
in a. I'm not even saying it because it's not even funny. Like I'm not even. Gonna say
Yeah,
it.
let's start. Okay. Hey, Kim. Yeah, Kim's giving me the updates on the DuckTales thing starting on Friday, which is like Agent P and
Oh yeah.
all that stuff. So it'll be fun. We'll get to do that when we're down there for Marathon Week. I'll try that. That'll be fun. I like that. Doot, 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 doot. I've never seen an episode of DuckTales though, so I wouldn't know. That was because that was like, I'm too old. Like that was after me. Like the your generation's by the DuckTales generation.
Yeah, I mean, I know it. I'm not too familiar with it though, to be honest. So
Yeah, me neither.
doesn't psych me up. But I like doing like fun little games and activities. So sign me
I
up.
do like that stuff. Yeah, I like that stuff.
Like Agent P. That was sweet.
And I'm glad it's
And
finally.
that show was great though. Like Phineas and Ferb was like an awesome show.
I do too. And it's
Yeah.
classic. It's like evergreen. Like,
My brother is like maybe I've told you this before. Like I almost feel like he's anti-Disney because we go so often, and like he doesn't like to like anything I like. Like I don't know. It's really weird.
I 100% get that.
But that guy loved Phineas and Ferb. Like he would watch that show all the time with Emily when she was like really little or whatever. Like I'm sure he has like great memories, like thinking about her growing up. And like, I mean, he watches that show on his own. Like that's how much he loves it.
And it's still as good today.
Yeah.
I remember this is what we're going to do on Friday, actually, kind of. So hang with us. But for the Friday show, we're not doing it Friday. We're doing like 40 minutes. But we were on a bus on one of our early trips, and you know how they put the placards like inside the buses for all the advertisements and stuff. We saw a placard like coming, summer of whatever, Phineas and Ferb, and I'm like, I told Pam like, that looks like the dumbest idea for a show. Hannah Montana was another one. I'm like, nobody is gonna watch a show called Hannah Montana. I was like, it was before it came out. I was like, that sounds like the dumbest name for a show. Yeah, I'm not good at picking shows. But it's just like because you didn't know what it was, you just knew the name. I'm like Phineas, and
you know what? Like, it's just funny. Like as like you grow older, like your kid grows older, and I just remember like I loved seeing those like on the bus. Like those are some of my favorite memories, man. Like I loved like sitting on the bus and like looking at like what's coming. Like I don't know why. Like I love that.
I know. Like now, I just feel like I'm too old. Like I see this stuff, and I'm like, but like I look back, and it was exciting.
I'll never forget. Like on our first trip. There was something that said like Chihuahua 2 or something. Like it must have been like a sequel to like some Chihuahua movie. Like I don't even know what it is. And this kid kept saying, I want to see Chihuahua 2. Mom, I want to see Chihuahua. Like the whole bus ride, and the mom kept saying, like, it's not out yet, honey. Like,
we will
and like the patience this mom had with this kid, but like she just screamed the whole time how she wanted to see this movie.
You should have been like, kid, it's not gonna be. You should have been like, it's not gonna be that good. It's gonna be
like I got a preview already, kid. It's not
it's gonna be brutal. No, but you know what? Like back then, you weren't as inundated with every like. You see it all the time now on like social media constantly.
Exactly.
Like,
that's a good point.
It was like that was probably like that got you pumped because it's the only place you ever heard.
It's the only time you saw it. Yeah.
Good old days. God, we're old. Yeah, Lisa's right. And DuckTales middle school. Yeah, probably. I did. Yeah, if it wasn't sports, I probably wasn't watching it. But or I was playing around with my Commodore 64 on middle school most of the time. Okay, so we got to do listener questions. We need questions. So if you have good current questions, put those in the chat. All of you that are here, thank you for being here. Lisa and Kim and Rhonda Lee, everybody else, and pull some questions from the inbox to have those set.
Or I just got an ornament in the mail. That I'm gonna have to share later. It looks pretty sweet.
I sent my exchange ornament yesterday, so I should be getting. It's going to Texas, Lubbock.
I did too, and I shipped them from the world famous Browners. I got them personalized.
Oh yeah, that'd be, dude. You're killing it. I got mine from Shop Disney. Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm so bad.
And then I got like the 2 ornaments personalized. And then I saw like another ornament that worked really well for that person. I was like, oh dang, like I'm gonna get them 2 now. And then I was like, well, I got to get the other person 2 now too. So there you go. I had to buy 2 ornaments.
Oh my gosh, they're gonna be lucky. All right, here we go. Let's do some questions and get cracking. Let's see here. Levels. They're jumping earlier.
Of course, my neighbor's dog is barking like crazy. I always worry like it's gonna pick up, but I don't think it does. So
I when I put the background loop in, you don't hear it. I hear it a little bit, but it's good. I boxed out my dog, so we should be good.
Yeah, well, it's not my dog. I wish it wasn't.
Rover.
Yeah, they just leave their dogs outside all the time.
Rover. He's like, yes, I'm going to be on the world famous Our Guest. But that's the only reason. My neighbor cuts the grass every time I open the mic. I swear. But he, it's freezing outside and the grass is dead.
Snowblower. There's no snow and the snowblower's going.
Yeah, the leaf blower, even though there's only like 10 leaves out there. I swear. And he's a good guy, but man, it's like he knows. Like every time the mic opens, he has like every power tool. All right. This is what number is 2206. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 2206 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rullman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you're having a great week, and thanks for joining us again here on the show. As it is Wednesday, it is time to answer your listener questions and get ready. Strap in because you are starting a Scott and Mike mini marathon here for the next 4 shows. Be ready because the ladies are out. They're, Ricky's a little bit under the weather right now. Pam is wrapping up her travels and putting in our input out there at Disneyland Resort and wrapping up some stuff with the travel agency with the higher ups there and, advocating for us Disney fans to make things a little better. And we appreciate that so very much. And so we're going to have some fun Disney talk over the next 4 shows with my buddy Scott up in the mitten. Hope you're going to enjoy this. Scott, thanks for jumping in. We're going to have a good time over the next week. So happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, Mike. Happy to jump in as always. Apologize to the listeners. They're going to have to deal with me for 4 straight episodes. So who knows? And then there might be some more because then we're going to hit the Christmas week and I'm sure I'll be invited for another episode then. So strap in. It's time for Scotty G and Mike time.
That's right. Don't forget, because you'll be here for Christmas Eve in the BOGP studios, which is rapidly approaching, which will be coming your way in about 10 days here. So get ready to be with us from the new BOGP studios, where we will have a virtual fireplace, which is awesome. All that stuff has finally come to fruition after almost 15 years of podcasting. So we're really excited for that. But before we jump into the listener questions, some current events, at least over the last 48 hours or so. Scott, did you see the springtime surprise medals that were released earlier today? Or were you working? And did you get a chance during work to break away and check the social media?
I broke away. I broke away for a minute. I got an alert from someone. So that's how it caught my attention. And it's funny, like I'm not doing the race weekend. I finally had to take one off, Mike. I've been doing so many of these. And yeah, I thought they were good. I like they're kind of like predictable. They're kind of what I thought. Like, I mean, I knew like for the Toy Story, there's gonna be Buzz and Woody, right? Which is kind of like you and me. So like
Yep.
I'm like, dang, I kind of wish I was doing that one in a way, because that's you and me like running is Buzz and Woody. But I like the challenge one too. Like I thought they were cute. I thought they were good. I was happy with them.
Yeah,
What about
I
you?
guess they're pretty creative, because it is Pixar themed and it's got my nephew really likes cars, and I like the 5K one. What I appreciate, and I mean they should be doing this, right? They're Disney, is that they go out when they take these medal reveal pictures and like the Cars 5K medal with Lightning McQueen featured on it. They take it out in the Cozy Cone section of Art of Animation in the background. Great picture. The medal looks great. I think the 10K was Doors.
It was the
Kind
door,
of modeled after
door
Doors
from
from
Monsters
Monsters,
Inc. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, they got creative with the medals, and I like that. I mean, I'm a fan of Pixar, and I think they pick some good movies, and it's going to be, because I am signed up. Who
Yeah,
knows
I just
about
wish they
making
would
that?
have done, and this is just me being like, I don't know, like who I am. Like it's, yeah, I could have guessed that it was going to be those 4 movies when they announced, right? That it was, like Pixar themed. I would love to see like some Wall-E or like something different that's kind of under the radar. But still, like those are great medals, and kind of jealous that those are going to be doing the race now, because I'm not, and you're going to collect some awesome bling that weekend.
We will see. So we'll get to those here shortly, and
We'll see, as in like I'm probably going to still end up showing up somehow. Is that what you're saying?
so I mean, I didn't go to Wine and Dine. I was registered, and who was there? You were there. So I mean, what? I didn't go because you weren't signed up, and then you showed up, and I wasn't there. I mean, it's like it
It's so
happens. I
weird.
mean, yeah, so don't count your chickens until about 48 hours out. I'm just saying, you never know what's going to happen. All right, you're here for listener questions. Let's get a listener question. This one's titled "Logistics for a Park Pre-Opening Dining Reservation" comes from Zach in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which I've driven through Chattanooga so many times. Weird city. If you ever drive to Florida, if you're coming from the Midwest, is because when you're in Chattanooga, you're in the central time zone. Then you go into the Eastern time zone. You go back into the central time zone and back into the Eastern time zone. It's weird. And you're like in the mountains. It's a tricky little piece of, I think, I-24 before you hit I-75. But I love it.
You know what the great band Chicago said or asked? Does anybody really know what time it is? And you don't when you're making that drive.
Well, what time it is? 26. It was 26 or 7 to 4 or something like that.
25 or 6 to 4.
I totally messed up that improper fraction right there. I don't know what it was. And I've actually looked up what that means, and it doesn't really mean anything, does it? I've looked on Google.
25 or 6 to 4?
Yeah.
Well, the backstory is like that's like the time of day. So it's like 25 minutes till 4 o'clock, or 26 minutes to 4 o'clock, I think is what it is. Like, who says like, oh yeah, what time is it? Yeah, it's about 25 minutes to 4. No one says that, right?
No, nobody says it, but it's a good song. I love Chicago. Chicago's a great band. It's a better band than the city. I mean, I gotta say I love the city because my daughter's up there. UIC Chicago 8-1 right now. Rock on, beat Northwestern. All right, here's the question. Everybody's like, God, just get to the question. Zach says, what's going on, BOGP crew? I have a 2-part question. The first about our trip coming up in February. The second one is regarding planning 2 Disney trips in advance. This is perfect for you, Scott, because you usually have about 7 on the burner. All right, number 1. We have a Crystal Palace reservation for 8:10 a.m. at the Magic Kingdom, and it does not open until 9 o'clock. As far as I can remember, the bus system will not start hauling people, like I says, hauling people like it's a U-Haul, until an hour before park opening. What is the best way to get to the Magic Kingdom if that is the case? What would you suggest to get to? I think actually buses might run 90 minutes prior to park opening, I think is the rule.
I was going to say, I think it might be 90 minutes now, actually. Yeah. Because there's and resort guests have the 30-minute early, like park opening time too. So like if the park opens at 9, they're going to expect people to be there at 8:30, and they usually let people in a little bit even before then. So I'm very confident that's 90 minutes before park opening that they start running.
And the bus is the best way to get to the Magic Kingdom. Of course, you could always Uber over to, the TTC, or, I had to, if I had to, I'd Uber over to the Contemporary to walk. But what I would do is just, 90 minutes is the rule. Because the thing is, Disney's not going to make an ADR time where you cannot get there
without
Disney.
a car. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, they understand that. So you'll be fine. They're taking a bus.
yeah.
But just be out there so you catch that first bus. That's kind of
Yeah, but I would say though, like with that 8-10 time, because of the 30-minute resort guest, if as long as those times don't change, like I would still expect people to be like in the park when you're getting there because they queue people up like on Main Street and such. So because I know when I book those, I try to like hope for like an empty Main Street, right, to get some photos, but it might not be as empty as you're thinking due to the early park entry.
Right. And a second question. I was looking at doing a quick trip next fall centered around Halloween. The plan is to see Disney transition into Christmas season. We will do the Halloween party on the 31st. And then the next couple of days, we want to see if we can find any Christmas decor. Any ideas where to start on November 1st? Thanks again for this awesome podcast. Go Gators and go Mocs, Zach. So, Scott, you've been down there during this time where you've been there for Halloween. And then as the transition happens, I don't think anything's going to happen exactly on the 1st, but it will happen shortly after. What do you think?
Yeah, sometimes you'd be surprised that Magic Kingdom Christmas tree might be up on the 1st or like the next day, depending on, because sometimes they'll do a Halloween party on November 1st, depending on where Halloween falls. I think next year, I think it'll be like a Tuesday or something. That's a weekday. So there could be a good chance that the Magic Kingdom tree might be up November 1st, or at the very latest, I say November 2nd. They're really quick about turning that around. And then like the Hollywood Studios kind of comes in next, but that's like a couple days later. You know, they really focus on the Magic Kingdom first. So if you're hoping to get like Christmas right away after Halloween, I would start with Magic Kingdom.
All right. Ashley's got a question here live. She's joining us on Facebook as we record live these podcasts. She says, where's the best place to get birthday buttons at Walt Disney World? We were there recently and couldn't find one anywhere. And that's shocking to me. This is as shocking to me as the time we were down there. I mean, of course, this was during COVID, where we were running around, you and I. You have a tradition, which is very cool. You get your coworkers Mickey ears personally embroidered for their desks. And that's like what they use for their name tags at their cubicles, which I think is the coolest thing ever. Please steal that idea wherever you're listening today, if you're in any kind of management. But they didn't have them. And like I think they had them at one place, like at the studios. Was it what?
When we went, they just didn't have them. If you're talking about the ears,
traditional Mickey ears didn't have them anywhere.
I got a breaking news update on that because I went to go do that again. Every trip I seem to have like new people that I need to do this for. And get this, Mike, I want to get two, junior size ones because I have one of my coworkers is coming down for January, so I wanted to get them for their kids as a surprise. And the order has flipped. They have a surplus now of adult ears, but no like junior ears anymore. So it's crazy. So you can get all the adult Mickey ears, but there's no juniors or infant ears now. It's unbelievable.
And as always, I do say thanks to the guy named Mike at your office for quitting and leaving behind his set of ears, because now that's what's hanging right. Well, you can't see it in the shot behind me right now, but they're at the top of the shelf there. So yes, Mike quit and I have his ears, which I appreciate. Okay. So back to Ashley's question though. I mean, as far as I know, City Hall at the Magic Kingdom, any of the guest relations locations should have birthday buttons and all the I'm celebrating buttons. I mean, maybe they were just, again, supply chain kind of things possibly, but I get them at the guest relations areas. I've never had an issue with getting these kind of celebrating buttons.
Yeah, I've never had an issue too. I'm kind of surprised to hear that. I was just down there and we had a birthday. We honestly forgot about the birthday the whole trip, the whole time we were there, except on Elizabeth's actual birthday when we were at Topolino's and the restaurant had it. So I was going to suggest the restaurants might have it because a lot of times you'll put that in when you check in, for a meal, you'll put birthday on there. And sometimes they'll have, the celebration buttons there too. So I'm really surprised. I'm sorry that happened, Ashley. That's unfortunate.
What I would do too is just ask any cast member because, cast members, even PhotoPass people might have some in their little, aprons, their pouch, wherever they are, it's just, those are the things that they do, just to plus the day. They're like, they can save a day. So anybody can probably have access to them and they could probably pull out at random places. But that's weird. They wouldn't have them because that's like what you're known for. I have so many, like they're everywhere. Okay. This isn't I just got this yesterday or 2 days ago, and it's not really a question, but it says Crumb Cake Boardwalk Deli was the title. And it's from Sal. And he says simply, oh my, just was walking past the Boardwalk Deli and saw the crumb cake and remembered that you mentioned it. Went in and bought one, and wow, buying a bunch more to bring home and put in the freezer. Truly amazing. Thanks for the recommendation, Sal. So Sal, amen. Thank you for reminding me to get a couple of those when I'm down for marathon weekend, reminding me why I'm running is to eat all the crumb cakes. And Scott, if you have not had this, right? This is my new go-to. I just randomly found this at the Boardwalk Deli, Boardwalk Bakery back in the day. It is so dang good and it's cheap.
It seems like an amazing find. Like I don't know about it. I've only heard you mention it, and now I've heard Sal mention it. I think we've seen some other listener questions pop up about it, but I'm going to investigate it over marathon weekend now. It's on the top of my list. I think after we do the mini golf event that Friday, I think we're going to kind of hang out in the Epcot area resorts. My plan is to get a crumb cake to celebrate my victory because I'm going to win the title that day.
You're not going to win, but I'll get you a crumb cake. But here's the deal. You're getting a crumb cake because you never had that. I've never had an old fashioned, any kind of an old fashioned. Now you always talk about old fashions and you talk about like this place has a great one. This place has a good one. This place has, a special kind of one. I don't even know what an old fashioned is made of or what the deal is with it, but I've told myself over marathon weekend, I'm going to try my first old fashioned with my brother and see what it's all about because you always rave about this. So I want to see what that's like.
Okay. I'm happy to do it. You might not have the taste palette for it. So if you don't like it at first couple sips, I'll take the rest of it.
Look at you. And I have a feeling I'm not getting the crumb cake because you're going to love it. All right. Yeah. So next question is from Kara. She's in Rentham, Massachusetts. Says, hey, Mike, Pam, Ricky, and Scott. Well, hey, 50% is going to have to do today. I am headed to Disney World in April of 2023 with my sister for her 35th birthday. Thanks, Mike, for helping us book. Thank you so much, Kara. The Disney Planner and me would already have our flights booked, but we're currently only have our flight booked for coming home. The flights to Orlando are $550 plus. Our options for leaving are limited due to me having to teach the day we leave. Oh my gosh, it's the teacher thing. I've been there. That's why I'm now a full-time travel agent, actually. Okay, 2 questions, she says. 1, when should we just go ahead and book the flight? There are still plenty of seats on most flights. And 2, when should we book the rental car? It's our first time renting a car, so I don't have a good idea of when it's too late to book. Thanks in advance. Love listening to the podcast on my way to work, Kara. And Kara, thanks for teaching. We appreciate that. It is a thankless job. And let me just tell you this time of year from experience, my wife will be home any minute as I'm recording. Just hang in there. You're almost to Christmas break. It's one of the most dangerous times of the year for teachers. I mean, anything goes at this point. Just make it to break, get the report cards done, and then you get your break. And then you can just breathe, right? You're almost there. But man, this is the grind for teachers. All teachers out there, you are so close. It's really bad right now. Probably lots of indoor recess, probably lots of extra duties because you have concerts. You have all the stuff. I'm praying for you. You're going to make it, but I've been there, man. You are at your wit's end. So just think about April, Kara. You're going to make it. All right. My man, Scott's good at this stuff, flights and rental cars. So Scott, what'd you say? So she's looking at the flights. She says there's plenty of seats on the flight. Should she hold out and hope, or should she grab it now? So I booked Southwest so I can rebook. That's my crutch. But what do you say? Because you booked Delta a lot.
Yeah, I booked Delta, and they've gotten a little more flexible lately since the COVID pandemic started. But you're right, Mike. With Southwest, like I almost feel like you can book anytime and just keep looking for price differences, and then you end up getting credits. Right, is how that works. I have a trip in February for Princess Half Marathon weekend that I still have not booked. I look at it every day trying to like time the price out, and I should probably book now. Yeah, I always say like 2 months. If you're within 2 months and you're going, like just bite the bullet and do it. Like even if the price seems too high, and then just keep checking. And then if there is a way to do like a price change or whatever, or like I would totally do that then. But if you're going down on a certain date, you're going to teach that day. Like I would feel so uncomfortable knowing that there's no wiggle room or flexibility. I would just want to book it now.
I agree. Yeah, just get it. Travel, especially she's going down in April. That's spring break. I mean, that is a high demand travel time. I don't see the rates going down. You're just going to have to bite the bullet and get it.
Yep. Or potentially look at other airports. So this happened to me last spring break, Mike. You remember? Yeah. I live in mid-Michigan. I usually fly out of Detroit, Michigan. And for spring break, I flew out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania because
that's insane. That is insane.
Because that was a like $900 savings to drive the 5 hours to Pittsburgh. I mean, I guess 10 hours round trip. Totally worth it to save 900. I mean, it was like $90 an hour I was saving at least, so, and I was going to drive 2 hours anyway to go to Detroit. So I was like, well, what's the extra 3 hours? So
that's crazy. Yeah.
So that is another hack though. Look for nearby airports. Like sometimes you might not think about it. If you have to drive a little bit further for like a huge cost, like it might be worth it.
Plus, you've been flying into Tampa. You did that on your recent trip.
Yeah.
You're flying into Tampa for Marathon Weekend. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that obviously you're doing it for savings.
Yeah. And I was going to tie that into my next answer. Like since you're renting a car, Tampa could be another good option to look at for flights. It's not that much further, maybe like another like 30, 40 minutes of a drive. You might hit some traffic, but if you're saving $300-400, which I am for just me and Elizabeth over Marathon Weekend, it's totally worth the fly in the Tampa. But when it comes to car rentals, I like to book right away. Like I want to secure that car. I want to make sure I have it because I've been burned where I waited last minute and whoop, what do you know? There's no cars available. So like to book the car as early as possible. And then you can just look for price changes. Like, just be aggressive, look every week or whatever and see if the price has dropped. Modify the reservation then, but I would book the car as early as you can.
All right, Jessica here in the live chat on Facebook says we're using your Tampa hack, Scotty G.
Dude, it's a great hack. Actually, I never thought. I got to give shout out to Beth. I would have never thought of it if Beth was like, "Oh, you should go look at Tampa," and like, gosh, like they were significantly saving some trips. So definitely a nice hack.
Okay, so this is totally not Disney, but I got to tell this quick, like 3-minute story my dad told me. Because you guys know my dad's a radio engineer for the Rams, right? So this happened at the Tampa Bay football stadium, Raymond James, where the Bucks play. And this is where Mizzou's going to play their bowl game on December 23rd. He was up there packing up the stuff after the game when the Rams played the Bucks last year. I think it was last year. It was earlier this year. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He was messing around, fiddling around because there was a TV in the booth and he was watching, I think, the Sunday night game or something. And he, like everybody else, was gone because he has to pack up all the mixers and the headset. He's got all this junk and he has to get it in the cases to get on the plane to get back to LA after the game. He does all this. Well, he finds that he messes around. He's the last guy in the booth. He leaves the booth and he finds out like there's nobody around. So he leaves like the press area, the press level. And there's like nobody there. So he's like, he can't get out of the stadium at this point. So he's like, he's literally like, he goes around, he's like locked in the stadium and he can't find anybody to get out. All the doors are locked. So what he does, he finds a door that leads him into like like where the seats are in the regular stadium. My dad, he's just trying to get out of the stadium. So, and my dad does not lie. He's a deacon. Like, I mean, he is a Baptist deacon. This had to have happened. This is so my dad. He goes out into the seats, like into the regular, seating area of the Tampa Bay Raymond James Stadium. He still can't get out of the stadium. So he jumps. He said it was like 10 feet. He goes over the rail and goes down onto the field thinking that like there's security, right? There's cameras. Somebody will see him. There's got to be security guards because now there's like some random 65, 69-year-old dude walking on their stadium. He walks all the way across the football field. He's at the 50 where the logo is. Still nobody comes to get him. He's walking around the football field at Tampa, like where Tom Brady plays. I told him, dude, I'd have been up in that because at the stadium there's like a cannon because it's the Bucks. Like I'd have been up firing the cannon, like boosh, like that would have got it. That'd have got you out of there real quick. He didn't think of that. So he finally finds like a security booth where there were people watching TV. The security guards were in the booth watching TV. He knocks on the booth, scares the crud out of the security guards, and they finally let him out. They're like, how'd you get in here? He's like, I've been in here since, 8 o'clock this morning. I was doing the radio for the Rams. I can't get out. I'm locked in. So of course they let him out. I'm like, you're lucky you didn't get thrown in jail. Mm-hmm. But that's my dad, and that was my Tampa story. It had nothing to do
funny.
with me. But yeah, I had to share that one. Oh my, here's the thing. My dad took no selfies. Dude, I'd have been doing snow angels at the 50, selfies with the pirate ship or the logo at the 50. Oh,
your dad just isn't a teenage girl like you and I are, with the selfies.
Totally. He missed his eye. I'm like, if you don't have pictures, it didn't happen. I'm just saying. But I mean, my dad, I can't even see my dad jumping onto the field. Like, it's a wonder he didn't break his leg because he's old. Like, oh my God, my dad's an old hippie. Anyway, back to the show. Rhonda Lee up in Nova Scotia says, my question is, what is the best magic that another guest has done to you during a trip? Mine was waiting for the Soarin' queue, and I was chatting with the family in front of me and had a great chat with the 5-year-old. She was slightly scared of this ride, and I was trying to reassure her. When we got to the front of the line, when the little girl was asked by the cast member how many in her party, she included me, so I wouldn't have to ride alone. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
I mean, a kid did that.
That's pretty awesome.
You know what? You're in the photo. It's like that old guy from the planning video. You're in the family.
You're in the photo.
You know what? I've been vacationing with this family the rest of my trip. So, Scott, do you have anything in mind though? That another fan? I have a few, minor kind of things, but what do you got?
What do you got? I'm struggling to think of something, to be honest.
Here's one thing that we can't do anymore that used to really tickle me, and we used to do it all the time for other families. It was simply giving fast passes, paper fast passes on the way out of the park to people as they came in. And, karma kind of comes around. Many times we're gifted, hey, we're leaving the park. Here, because like we'd be a family of 3, because it would be just Paige, Pam, and I at that time. And then, you're always looking for like the right, this is what we did. Like, you got to make sure if we only had 3 fast passes, like don't find a family of 4, because then you're going to start a fight. Yeah. So we'd always be like, okay, it looks like a family of 3, and then like we'd gift them, and like another kid would pop out. We're like, oh no, we ruined it. But yeah, we were gifted fast passes. One time, Paige was gifted a balloon, like on the way into a park because it was the kid's last day. They didn't want to take it on the plane.
So that's what we always want to do. We say at every trip that we're going to buy a balloon just to give it to a kid. But then I always worry like the parents like going to be like, that's going to create drama in my family if you buy this balloon. I don't know. Right. But one thing I do too, like sometimes is like, if you see someone like at like a counter service, especially like ordering before there was mobile order, and you can just like see on their face when like all the food comes out and they're like, they don't have enough arms like hold all these trays. Like I'll sometimes offer like to carry someone's like food tray for them or whatever, like there's like so many small things you could do throughout a day to create magic. It's not always the cast members. I like what Rhonda Lee is saying here. Like just be on the lookout, be observant, and try to create magic yourself. Cause that's what it's all about. Like we're all there. We're big Disney fans. We're guests of this is like our park. That's how I always look at it, Mike. It's my park. Like I'll pick up trash sometimes because I want my park to be clean, And if I see someone struggling, I want to help them as much as I can and create some magic in quotes.
I feel like this show's like story time with Mike, but when you brought up the story about somebody needing a hand with the trays, that takes me back to Star Wars weekends where the guy, he's in the big robe, man. It's 100 degrees. It was so hot that day. And it was at the ABC commissary. And he must have had a big family. I mean, he must have had a big family because he had like 4 trays that came out. His whole family must have been catching the air conditioning at the table. They expected this guy, dude. He was dressed like Obi-Wan Kenobi, man. The robe, the big robe too, thick. And he's up there and they're like, order number 256. And he's like, that's me. So I'm just standing back because I'm waiting for my food. And they dish out 4 trays to the guy, and he's just like dumbfounded because he doesn't know how he's gonna get this food to his table because it's like 4 trays. 1 tray's full of like 7, fountain sodas. Like this is just gonna be a disaster. And the guy next to me, man, I'll never forget. It's like, use the Force, Obi-Wan. Use the Force. Oh my God, I felt so bad, but I laughed so hard I almost peed my pants. But I shouldn't have laughed so hard. I felt guilty. He got a good laugh out of it because then I think he took 2 trips. But it was anyway, the story time with Mike today. But yeah, just little stuff like that. And, I like it. You say it's our park, right? Because we take pride. Here's the thing about that though. And this is, I think, a fine line that the folks like us listening to this show have to walk, right? You're in line with somebody, because when you're in like a long queue, like say you're waiting for Rise of the Resistance or Flight of Passage or Space, but something where you're going to be next to this family for say 20, 30, an hour, whatever it is. And they're like a first timer, right? And they're talking about what they're going to do later on that day or tomorrow. And what they're saying is just such a bad idea, right? You just feel like, oh my God, if they do this, it's going to cost them like an hour, like, or it won't work. Like what they're going to do, they're going to go somewhere. And it's going to take them an hour to get there. This is not a possibility. They're going to have to turn around, come back. And this is not how. And I think it's one of those things like you don't want to be nosy, but you also would like to be able to save this family from either embarrassment or just inefficiencies in their touring, but you also don't want to be that person who's butting in all the time. I walk that line. Normally, I just kind of stay out of it. Like
I try to bite my tongue as much as I
I
can,
know.
but
I mean, if I could tell like they're going to be in a bad spot, I will say something, and I'll just be like, look, this is what I do for a living. I'm not trying to be nosy, but I'm just trying to help you out here. But I mean, most of the time, I do try to keep my nose clean. But it's hard because you hear people talk about stuff like, oh no, don't do that.
I know it's tough. You hear that you hear it on the bus a lot is when I hear it.
You do.
Because people are like planning their day, like especially if you take like a first bus out, like everyone's like talking about we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and I just like, and they're saying like the wrong terminology too. Like they're saying like, yeah, we're gonna go do Frozen, and you're like, or that's a bad example, or like and they're going to like the Magic Kingdom or something when there's absolutely no Frozen at Magic Kingdom or something.
Yeah,
you don't want to like correct them, like you're just like, I'll just let them figure it out on their own. And what you're saying sometimes too, Mike, you can offer like a grenade to a person and rise of the resistance, and that can create some magic sometimes too for guests that are behind you.
That's okay. That could be our Friday show. We could tell. We probably can't even tell that story. It's a biohazard. But I can't even. I don't know what to say. But Nicola Tuckwell here in the live chat says, "I love it when guests acknowledge each other's 'I'm celebrating' or birthday buttons. Somehow that can seem more special than the cast members acknowledging sometimes." And I 100% agree with that. Right? When somebody just says, hey, congratulations on your honeymoon or, your wedding or your anniversary or, sometimes you're right. I'm no kidding. When I took my first flight, because I was so scared to fly, I got a button that said, I flew. People were asking me about that. Like, you flew. I'm like, yeah, and it was a conversation starter. Like I was scared to fly for like 20 years, but I bucked it up. I had a couple margaritas and I'm here. I made it. And people are like, that's cool that you.
It is cool. Yeah. I love it when people like get creative with their I'm celebrating button. And I 100% agree with this comment that I always tell people happy birthday. And some people might get tired of hearing it. Like, oh my gosh, like 500 people told me happy birthday today. And I always say, well, take the button off then if you don't want to be told that all the time. But I was going to say, I love that I'm celebrating because I remember one trip, like you, Mike, you said like you did the I flew. Like one year I wrote, because it was a February trip. I must have shoveled like 15 days in a row. Like it was like a crazy snowstorm in Michigan. And I wrote, I'm celebrating. I didn't have to shovel today.
Yes.
But it was funny. Like some people, like my handwriting's pretty bad, and some people read it as shower. So it was a great conversation starter. Like, oh, I didn't shower today.
And I remember the one we were all together on this one too, where Steve Forrester had one that said, I rode a bus. Like, because he was so anti-bus back then, they always rent a car. And like he would not get on a bus. Like he would do a boat, he would ride the monorail. But this is before the Skyliner. But he was like, I'm not getting on a crowded bus. Like that was just Steve. Like,
I have a photo of him on the bus. He's standing. He's actually smiling. He looks pretty happy, actually. I think it was on his birthday too.
I think it was. It was at the studios. This is one of our best nights ever. We closed out the studios that night. I think like the last people. We have some great pictures that night.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that's going to be Friday show. So stay tuned for that. But great stuff. All right. Liz has a question. It says signature dining question. So glad you're here because I'm corn dog nuggets guy and you're signature dining guy. Hi, Mike, Ricky, Pam, and Scott. Our family recently booked a trip to the world in April of next year. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Liz. Which we're very much looking forward to. When we started figuring out where we wanted to dine, I realized we picked quite a few signature restaurants. We don't mind dressing up a night or two. We usually do it at least once a trip, but we're hoping to be able to go directly from a park to Topolino's and Gico. How concerned do we need to be about the dress code? I know it's pretty much cast discretion, but since Flying Fish provided my father with a collared shirt before, we'd like to avoid the situation again and yet still be comfortable in the parks. Thanks, Liz. Both good restaurants, both a couple of your favorites, actually.
Both a couple of my favorites. And you've been to both. And Mike, you've been to both.
I have actually. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I mean,
Mr. I'm not a signature guy. You've been to both of these restaurants for dinner.
I mean, Pam Forrester was paying for Gico, so that was awesome. And then I dined with you. We got to see Harmonious from Topolino's. Yeah. I'd like to go back to Topolino's. I really enjoyed that.
I think the biggest thing is here is like not having like holes in your jeans or like
swimsuit.
Yeah, a swimsuit. Like I mean, people understand like. You're at Walt Disney World, you're in the parks. Like, I know this was breakfast, but even at like our last trip, we went to Topolino's for breakfast, and Emily had on this like Twilight shirt Like I was like, what are you wearing? But it wasn't a big deal. But again, that was breakfast, a little more laid back for breakfast time. But yeah, as long as you're like wearing something like, that's not offensive in any way or anything like that, it's going to be fine. Like I've been to Jico with friends where someone's worn like a t-shirt and a hat. It's totally fine as long as like it's presentable is the biggest thing I would say. So you should be good.
I think you're fine. All right, and Chip's here. Thanks for being here, Chip. What's up, guys? 30 days from cruise is tomorrow. Best snack or meal not in the dining room. Also, either of you done the rainforest room? Yes, I've done the rainforest room. My problem is I don't always do the rainforest room, but a lot of times I'll get the pass, and here's the hack for me. Okay, this is just me. I have a family of 3 girls, right? So I have when Paige goes. So it's Pam, Mallory, and Paige. Guess who never gets to get into the bathroom? Like when it's time to get ready for dinner. It's this dude. So here's my hack. I will go shower in the rainforest room. Like if I need to take a shower before dinner, because that they have tons of showers there to take showers. And that way and they like have the shampoo and everything in there. And that's a good because you can buy the rainforest pass for the length of your cruise. Plus, there's lots of other perks. I love the heated little loungers, like rock loungers that are heated. Oh my God, they're awesome. Okay. They also have these like other showers that have like smells. They're fancy. It's kind of neat. Do you need to pay for it? No, but it's a splurge. I mean, if it's a special cruise. What about, have you done rainforest, Scott?
I've never, that's something I always wanted to do. Like I heard like, I know we have some friends that have sailed the Wish, and I hear like it's a little different on the Wish. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do it on the next podcast cruise. We'll see, but it's unbelievable that I've never done it because I hear so many great things about it. I need to do the rainforest room.
See, I probably won't do it on the podcast cruise because like we're doing so many events. We're like all over the ship. We're hanging out. So it's more for like when I sail by myself, or with just my family, and we have more time to just kind of chill. Like if you have a lot of chill time, that's a good one. What about, I'm trying to think like best snack or meal not in the dining room. Cause I'll be honest, like I'm super simpleton. Like I just love going down to, now I haven't been on the Wish yet, and I can't wait to be on the Wish because there's a Mexican cantina and barbecue. I mean, my God, this ship was made for me. Like you want to know, like Disney reads feedback. I mean, if I had feedback, this is it. Yeah. Could you have barbecue and Mexican on a ship? And I've always said that ever since my first cruise. I'm like, something about being on a cruise makes me want Mexican food. And like, they've done it now. So thank you. But I will say, like, I'm always like at the back of the ship or, like on the Wonder, the Magic, like Pluto's doghouse or whatever. But on the Dream or the Fantasy, I'm always back there, like getting the slices of pizza, the wraps, the hamburgers and fries. Like, I mean, not I don't know why, but stuff just, it's just I mean, it's cheap pizza, it's cheap burgers, it's cheap fries, but doggone, it tastes good on a cruise. I mean, I tear that stuff up. Fancy.
I mean, that's about all there is really for a snack outside of the dining room are going to be like those, I call them like the counter service meals. And like, you're right. Like it's burgers and fries, like pizza. There is something about like a midnight pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Like
later it is better things too. And we have both been like where they're pulling down the thing. We've done this at the buffet too for the pirate night, but we've also done it at the pizza window. They're putting down the screen for the night, and our hands are like in there trying to get that last slice. Mm-hmm. We're willing to lose digits to get the last slice of pizza.
For sure. But I do have a best snack though. So what's kind of cool though. So every day of the cruise is it Flo's? Is that what it's called? Like on the Dream?
Flo's V8 Cafe.
Yep. So that's where you'll find your burgers, fries, chicken tenders, and whatnot. But there's always a specialty item of the day. So kind of be on the lookout for that. So it changes every day for whatever the specialty thing is. And my favorite it's normally on a Castaway Key day. It is the spicy chicken sandwich, and I destroy those things so much.
Best. They have them on Castaway Key too. Oh man,
that's why it's normally on your Castaway Key day because they'll get them from cookies.
I just bring them back from the cookies. Yeah, I'm sure they do.
And I often skip dinner that night. Well, I don't, but like let's be real, I don't ever skip dinner. But like I eat like 3 of those every sailing.
Like Taco Bell used to market 4th meal. Like when I was in high school, do this like 6th meal. I don't care. Like I tear it up on a cruise. Yeah, you're 100% right. There's something about that spicy chicken sandwich. I can destroy those. Oh,
and then I'll go to the toppings. I love pickles. I'll go to the toppings bar behind it, put a bunch of pickles on it. Like, oh my God. I'm craving one right now, Mike. I need it.
God, me too. Ding. Oh my God, that's so good. Give me a spicy chicken sandwich and the buffalo chicken grilled cheese from the ABC commissary. Oh, so good. All right, so let's see here. We got another question. Let's see. John Luke has a question. And hello, Mike and Scotty. If you were to choose a DVC resort for New Year's Eve, which one would it be? We are between the Riv, the Poly, and the Beach Club. Well, we're doing Magic Kingdom on December 30th and Epcot on New Year's Eve. All right, so because of that, throwing out the Polynesian, because you're going to be able to get from Epcot to the Riviera and Beach Club the easiest. I would go Beach Club just because you could walk right there. And there's something to be said about that, man. New Year's Eve is awesome at Epcot, but it is exhausting. It is madness. It's madness in a great way, but it is a nut house. And to be able to just say, I'm walking out the International Gateway in 5 minutes, I'm going to be in my room. Dude, you are winning life at Walt Disney World at that time. Do you agree with that?
I mean, that's my answer, but I'll throw a second answer out there just to get your thinking. Sorry, John. Like, I know Mike just gave you the right answer, but I'm gonna battle him here and give you another option because I do like the Polynesian as one as well. And here's why. Because I think about the 30th fireworks is going to be at Madhouse in Magic Kingdom. And if you're staying at the Polynesian, they rope it off for resort guests. So you can actually watch from the beach on the 30th. And then I've done this with 4th of July. I've stayed at the Polynesian or the 4th of July. It's really not that bad getting back to your resort because you can just hop on the monorail. And the thing with the Polynesian, you take the Epcot ride back to the TTC. You can walk to your room from the TTC, so you don't even have to transfer. So transportation isn't as bad as you might think. So you can do the fireworks on the beach and you can do the monorail. But Beach Club is the right answer, though. But that's another
I hate to say it because the Riviera, you can get back there too really quick because the Skyliner eats people quick. And you're right there. And the Riviera is awesome. Then you go to Primo Piatto in the morning. There you go. First meal of the new year at Primo Piatto. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we've answered nothing there.
So I might not eat anything all year. Then I'm just gonna wait till marathon, and I'm gonna go 4 days without eating. So Primo Piatto gonna be my first meal of the year.
I'm starting my my fast right now.
Fasting
until, January 6th or whatever it is.
Because that's smart to do. You know, not eat before a race.
You know, I'm going to Taco Bell as soon as we finish the Friday show. Okay, George has our last question today. He's over in Malmesbury, UK. Love George. He says, "Dear Mike, Pam, Ricky, and Scott, first, thank you as always for the amazing podcast. The last few years have been turbulent to say the least, and the positivity you guys bring to the world with the podcast has been a constant beacon of light for me. Thank you so much, George. It's super kind. I'm very excited because my girlfriend Rachel and I have booked a holiday to Orlando for late August of 2023. We're staying at Cabana Bay at Universal for a few nights and then heading over to Disney World for 11 nights at Pop Century. It's my first time back since 2018 and my first time staying on site. But even more excitingly, it's Rachel's first time ever leaving Europe and her first time visiting the USA and getting to experience the parks in Orlando. She's a big Disney fan too, and we both love visiting Disneyland Paris together, but I can't wait to show her Walt Disney World as it's such a different experience to Disneyland Paris in so many ways. Because of this, I really want to make the trip as magical as possible for her. And I was thinking of arranging some sort of extra special experience whilst we're at Disney to really make our stay memorable. We're planning to do the Halloween party, but is there anything else you guys would recommend? It could be absolutely anything. I just want a uniquely Walt Disney World experience. My second question is about food. Rachel's vegetarian, so I'm keen to eat at restaurants where she'll have plenty of great choices of where to eat. Where would you recommend? Also, since it's her first visit to the States, are there any quintessentially American dishes suitable for vegetarians that you would recommend available on property? Thanks again for everything you do. Best wishes, George. George is so kind. I've known George via social media for years now. And this is what I love about our podcast. George and I consider ourselves friends because of this show. I've never met George, but we can reach across the ocean. And this makes me so happy that they're going to have this experience. George and Rachel, he's going to have, this is awesome. And that we get to talk about this and share this. I appreciate this. So we're going to be good at the first question. Not so good at the second question. I'm just saying, but we have a great audience and we're going to get you some answers. I promise you. It might not be on this show, but I bet you it'll be next week. But here's what we're going to do. What would you do for that Disney experience? He says kind of just wants to give Rachel a special thing. Halloween party is a great start. What are you thinking? What do you think?
Halloween party is great. not to make it so Magic Kingdom centric, but I was thinking like a dessert party. I like the dessert parties a lot. You get that special like viewing area. You get to have like some nice desserts in the little, what is that? Like the plaza? Like what did you call that area? Like I'm trying to think.
It's the old Tomorrowland Terrace.
Terrace, that's what it is.
Tomorrowland
Terrace. I like that. So I like that as like an option. But my biggest thing would be like if she's a huge fan of like of Disney, never been to Walt Disney World. I mean, some people say this might ruin some magic, but do like a cool like behind the scenes tour. Like that would be so awesome.
Keys to the Kingdom is the one to do. That's yes, that's a good answer. Keys to the Kingdom. It's not super expensive, and you get a lunch, and you also get a cool little souvenir too at lunch. So I don't want to spoil anything, but that you'll get something to remember the day by.
And what they're doing 11 days, so I think they could. That's like a 5-hour tour, right? It's not a full day one, isn't it? Or is
it a 3-hour tour?
Okay, so yeah,
no, I mean, I see those Gilligan.
Oh yeah, 3-hour tour.
I don't know how long it is. It's about that long though. It's like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, so I think that would be a great option, right, Mike? So like 11 days, like do a half a day doing a tour, get behind the scenes. I think that'd be a really great idea.
Another thing, if you really want to splurge, a fireworks cruise. You said a dessert party, but you could do a fireworks cruise, and I mean that could be. You're talking a few $100s. I mean, but you would have the pontoon boat to yourself. You'd have a driver there for like 60 minutes. You'd be out on Seven Seas Lagoon or out there in Crescent Lake. That'd be super cool because you're going to see you're there for long enough where you'll see all the fireworks in the park. You would have that different perspective where, I mean, if you really want to impress somebody, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so that's going to do it for today's show.
You don't want to talk about the vegetarian option?
Oh, no, we're not. No, because we're not vegetarian. Here's the deal. Seriously, George, I'm just kidding. But I'm trying to think. So buffets would be good options, though, right? I mean,
I was going to say like even like signature restaurants. So I've had like fish, and I believe most vegetarians can eat fish. It depends on I think there's like different flavors of that.
Got to be a pescatarian. See, I know about this stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know there's if you go to a signature restaurant, you're going to find some outstanding options because I could eat anything from these restaurants because the way they make their dishes are just outstanding. So like a Topolino's or a California Grill, I think people think about their steak and their beef that they offer, but they do other amazing dishes as well. So I'd highly recommend that and tie it into one of the nighttime shows like a Harmonious at Topolino's or watch Enchantment from California Grill and have a nice vegetarian meal.
You know what? Actually, I think Kona actually has a lot of good vegetarian meals because I always get like this noodle bowl there. And I want to say like they have a vegetarian option because they just like throw a little meat in there. And that's one of my favorite things at Walt Disney World anyway. It's super good. But here's what I'm going to throw out there. Let's all help George out. So if you're a vegetarian or anybody that's, had great options at Walt Disney World, send me a list of a couple of restaurants. We can help George and share these next week. Mike at BeOurGuestPodcast.com, or just hit me up over on the social media at BeOurGuestMike on Instagram or Twitter. And we'll share these for George next week. But if, you guys are the experts, I eat everything. So I'm not a great source of this, but do help us out. So we'll help George out next week. We'll give a good list of vegetarian options for Rachel. I love this. So George, thanks for the question. And I can't wait to have you over here to our parks in August. That'd be great. All right. And Nicola says mac and cheese. I can always eat mac and cheese.
Always eat mac and cheese.
I must be a vegetarian because I love mac and cheese. No, I'm just kidding. I eat everything. All right. So I see it. I eat it. All right. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back again on Friday. We have a fun idea. So here's what the premise is for Friday's show, just so you have an idea. Scott and I have been going to Walt Disney World and Disneyland and on Disney cruises for many, many years, our families together. And so what we're going to do, and we thought this would be kind of fun for our listeners, because there's a lot of times where we just like to tell stories, right? And I love hearing people tell stories of their trips. Like when, oh man, because sometimes it's about a Halloween party, or sometimes somebody tells a story about a 4th of July trip, or somebody tells a story about a particular day at Castaway Cay or something. I love just eavesdropping on those kind of stories. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to both have our phones out, and we're going to go into Google Photos and pick a year. And we're just going to find a random photo from that year. And we're going to tell the story of that photo. It could be a Run Disney race we ran together. It could be a cruise. Like I said, it could have been our Disneyland trip. Could be way back when at Walt Disney World, any time of the year. And we're going to tell stories from Walt Disney World. And it could be, on attractions that are no longer there, shows, fireworks, special events. But we're just going to tell some stories, and hopefully that'll trigger some memories for you as well. So join us for that. This could be a really fun show. This could be a terrible show. But we're going to give it a try because I thought it'd be a good idea. So we'll see you on Friday. So get your phone ready. We'll be ready for that. All right. So we are going to jump out of here. Of course, you can follow Scott on Instagram and Twitter at @EpScott. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike. We both love to hear from you this week. Our shows are always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. I'm ready to help you plan an amazing Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip. Just swing by the website, themagicforless.com this week. Fill out that free, no obligation quote, and we'll take care of you from there. So check them out today. Again, over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon, especially during this busy holiday season. It really does help support everything we do throughout the year. And thanks to our patrons, you guys make all these shows possible. You allow us to put not one show out a week, not 2 shows, 3 or 4 shows a week. And I hope you enjoy those. Our patrons also get a 5th show called Mike in the Midwest. If you'd like to join us and get in on that, we'd love to have you. Coming over, patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. And of course, this Sunday night, special live call-in show. We're going to do a holiday special where we're asking for your favorite holiday memories so you can take this on the road as you travel during the holiday season. So favorite toy from your childhood. What did you want that you never got under the Christmas tree from Santa? What's your favorite kind of Christmas cookie? What do you do in your house to celebrate? Maybe, Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah. I know Hanukkah starts on Sunday night. So if you're celebrating, I understand that. We talked about that this past week with Brooke, but we just want to hear your holiday traditions. What do you do in your town? What's special for the holidays? So it doesn't necessarily have to be Disney this Sunday night. It's kind of our Christmas party or holiday party for our Be Our Guest podcast family. So join Scott and I on Sunday night, 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central on Facebook and YouTube. Really, really, really hope you can make it because it's a special show for us. All right, we're going to jump out of here. We'll be back again on Friday. So for Scott, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Boom.
Thanks for bailing me out there. I got my pescatarian and vegetarian back mixed up.
I heard that on a podcast and I'm like, I'm going to say pescatarian.
Yeah. Marlessa is, and that's where I was thinking about Marlessa.
Oh, she's pescatarian?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does it mean, okay, but does it mean, see, I don't even know. Does it mean you only eat fish or does it mean you eat like,
no, you can eat fish. Like, I don't think you like it.
Yeah. I'll just throw that out there.
I don't know if she was in the chat, she'd correct me if I said something wrong.
Yeah, where's all our vegetarians at? It's like that. Oh, have you seen you probably watch it's been on during football. There's a new commercial for Paramount Plus where that substitute teacher guy does the commercial.
I haven't seen it.
That Keenan and Peele that's like, hey, Aaron. There's a new one though for like all the people like blue, the little dogs in it. Mm-hmm. But then at the very end, Aaron Donald from the Rams is in the back.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, Aaron. He's like, here.
So okay. I'll have to look for it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Hey, Aaron. He's like blue.
Dude, I'm like hungry already, man.
Oh man, me too.
So our work has a cafeteria that is basically like, the you have to pay for it, but it's kind of like the Flo's VA Cafe, like a bunch of like fried food and stuff. Like I eat there like all the time. And I was like, I gotta start packing my lunch again. So I packed my lunch today. So I had a much lower calorie intake than I normally would have on a normal day.
It hits you.
And now I'm hungry.
Oh, dude, it kills you later. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was fine at the time. Like I was like, oh, like okay, I'm feeling pretty full. I'm satisfied. And like now I'm just like, oh my god, I'm dying.
Doing these shows too makes you hungry, like because you're talking
about food and
100%.
Yeah, when we're talking about the cruise line and those chicken sandwiches, like, oh my god, I love those so much.
Dude, Shop Disney, you lied to me. I signed up for text alerts and I did not get free shipping because I didn't spend $75. Quit texting me. Okay, let's see here. 20. We'll start with 2018.
So 2017 could be interesting though.
Okay, start with 2017.
Because I know there's some attractions that closed in 2017. I was gonna try to find one of those photos.
Okay, 2017. Trying to get just where there's a random trip. Lots of football games.
We took a cruise that year.
That was Paige's 21st birthday because I'm doing her first shot with her. Well, it probably wasn't her first shot, but it was her first shot with me. There's Mallory at rodeo. That's another football. Man, we went to a lot of football games that year.
Tell the story behind this photo. Like, what's going on?
Is that a churro?
It's a churro.
Churro. There we are in. Oh, there's the Indy Disney meet. Like, where's that? That was a solar eclipse.
Actually, look at this. Look at this photo. That's a good story.
Oh, yeah, that is. We'll have to tell that one. That's a good one. There's us. Oh, there's us on the cruise when we won the Amazing Race.
I mean, you could do a whole. There's like 5,000 stories just from this one trip.
Yeah, okay, we can do this. Okay, here we go. Because let's start so we can eat.
Yeah, and then we can switch years too.
More soda. Yeah. Oh, somebody didn't just bust my headphones.
Dang, a lot happened that year on this trip.
They're good.
Dude, so many things happened on this trip. Like this happened on that trip.
Oh, dude, that was crazy. Beaches are great. All right. Here we go. So this will be, hang on screen agenda, switch to this one. This is actually 2208. It's not 2207 because 2207 will be the live show. All right, let's do this. Here we go. 2208, 2208, 2208. Here we go. Welcome to episode 2208 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you and welcome to the weekend. I know it's a little bit early, but welcome to the weekend anyway. We're going to have a good time talking Disney, and today we're not going to give any, groundbreaking tips about Walt Disney World. We're just going to ease you in during this holiday season. We know you're busy. You're probably doing some holiday shopping this weekend. Maybe you're running to a holiday party. You're out and about. Maybe you're going to the kids' holiday concert. I know it's busy, right? You're doing a lot of stuff. We're just here to relax you and to entertain you for the next 30 minutes or so with some fun Disney stories. And we're going to try kind of a different format, kind of a different type of show. And joining me, it's my brother from another mother up in Michigan, your friend of mine, Scotty G. Happy Friday, Scott. What's going on?
Happy Friday, Mike. I believe we're getting into some bowl season now, though. So we just had like a week off. We had the Army-Navy game and the Heisman ceremony, but now we're going to pick up in the bowl season, which is a great time of year. I love bowl season.
Dude, I love the bowl season. I love bowls. I'll watch any bowl game. It doesn't matter. Like Bahamas Bowl, that gets one of the first ones going now. It's like Troy and somebody. I don't care. Like it says something bowl.
It's just fun because you see two schools that normally don't play each other, right? Oh. Like it's just fun to see the matchups and fun to see the marching bands, the fan base, the student base. It's just all good times, and people normally going to somewhere where warm weather is or nice weather is. So that's always a plus too.
Right. So I have this Jayhawks fan in my Twitter feed, and that's like our trial. The SEC makes us be rivals with Arkansas, right? Because they're in the SEC. But everybody knows Mizzou's rival is the Kansas Jayhawks, the school to the west. And so we played a basketball game against Kansas last weekend that didn't go so well for us. So we're not going to talk about that. But then this guy kept going on about that we're not playing Kansas in a bowl game in football because we could have probably matched up against them in the Liberty Bowl. But the Liberty Bowl is not, it's in Memphis, and it's like December 29th. It's in the middle of the day. I've been to I traveled to the bowl games. I've been to the Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana. Not a great destination to go to a bowl game in December. The Liberty Bowl in Memphis. It rained on New Year's Eve the whole time. It was freezing. Terrible, because we're trying to get home for New Year's Eve. We drove back in the same day. Giving me a hard time. No, Mizzou's in the Gasparilla Bowl, which is in Tampa, the same stadium that if you were tuned in on Wednesday, my dad got locked in the stadium. Great story there. But and we get to play before Christmas. So the players all get to play before Christmas on the 23rd, get to be done with football for Christmas, play the game. And we play the Demon Deacons out of the ACC. So, that's going to be a good one. So whatever, have fun in the Liberty Bowl. We've been there, done that. We're the SEC. So where's your team playing in the bowl this year?
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for it, Mike. You saw me looking at my phone because you're about to talk about today's episode, and it's going to involve our devices a little bit. But my team is just chilling. We're just sitting back, man, not bowling.
Yeah. And Rob says he'll be at KU on Friday. My sympathies. All right. So today, it's all good fun, kind of. Okay. So today, here's the premise of the story of the show. Like I said on Wednesday's show, Scott and I have been to many, many Disney destinations together. Disneyland, Walt Disney World, countless times, many Disney cruises. What we're going to do is jump into our Google Photos, and we're going to basically pose the question. Remember that time on a Disney trip that ... And we're going to pull up a picture and just kind of share some stories with you. And, hopefully this will trigger some memories from your past trips, because we'll talk about events that may still be happening, maybe not, attractions that may still be there, maybe not, maybe things you've always wanted to do and that we've done and we can give some feedback on. So I'm going to let Scott start and tell us the year and kind of give us the background on the story. And then we'll talk about the picture, like the story behind the picture. So what do you got?
Yeah, so I love this idea, Mike. This is fun. Like, I love the storytelling, and I think everyone will get a kick out of this.
I mean, what else?
So, it's Friday. So this photo's from July 19th, 2017.
Okay.
And we just got off a cruise. We just had a Our Guest Podcast cruise. That's the year we did the fantasy, actually. So we just had like a nice long cruise.
Yes, 7 nights.
And I don't know if you remember where we stayed afterwards. We stayed together at a 2-bedroom villa at Old Key West.
I do remember. Yeah. It was a great stay. God, I love that. That 2-bedroom villa was like a house.
It was so awesome. D23, I believe, happened while we're on the cruise, and there were some announcements, some sad announcements, like Ellen's Energy Adventure was going away, Great Movie Ride was going away, but a new thing was coming, and we got to experience it as a trial, free of charge. And here's the photo of you, me, and our minivan driver at Old Key West, right outside our villa.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the coolest things about. So, like, no one really knew, like, what's this minivan? Like, is it a Lyft? Is it an Uber? Like, what's going on? So we were fortunate enough to be staying on property right as this happened. And basically, if you were at the right time, at the right spot at the right time, you got to take a minivan for free wherever you want to go on property.
And that's kind of the premise of this show, is that, just like weird stories, right? We just happened to be there. And like, I remember, like, we were sitting on a bus and you're on the roads around property, and we saw one. We're like, oh, it looks like a bug. Oh, it looks like Minnie Mouse's dress. Like a little car. And so, but the thing was, the story behind this is that became like and I remember Mallory and Emily became obsessed with getting into a minivan. Well, so did we. I mean, let's be real.
Oh, we wanted to.
We totally wanted, probably more than they did. But the thing was, like, you couldn't use the app at that point, and they were free. They were totally free, but it was first come, first served. And they only went to certain resorts. They weren't going to all resorts, and you couldn't use the app to get them. They weren't in the app. What you had to do was just kind of be like out in the porte cochere, whatever, like the big awning or whatever out front. And if one rolled up and you were the first person there, you could take it. I mean,
so it was the Epcot area resorts is where they would pick up. Now they would take you anywhere, so they could take you to like the Contemporary or whatever, but they were only picking up at the Boardwalk and Beach and Yacht, or maybe it was just Boardwalk and Beach. And I remember we got that tip. So I remember for this picture that I just shared, we probably waited like an hour to get one of these things because we just wanted to do it. And we loved it, right? We got in there, like we took photos of the minivan. Like I have photos of like them showing like the car seats if we needed a car seat and what all this. We played 20 questions with the driver. We grilled him so hard on like so many questions, like what's your role? Like what you've been doing at Disney? Like, and, he'd been a long time cast member. In the photo, he's in the cast members with us. But the biggest surprise to me that I thought was so awesome outside of the free minivan ride and all this is when we roll up to Old Key West. And if anyone's been there, it's a huge resort. And, I just figured he was going to drop us off at like Olivia's, like at the main, like lobby area. But no, the man took us all the way back to like Turtle Pond or wherever we were staying and dropped us right in front of our villa. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. He drove us right to our villa for free.
It was awesome. And it was basically kind of like it was kind of like having a limousine, like a personal town car, or like Disney transportation, because he was a cast member and he had all the stories, but you got to have this conversation one-on-one with him, and you got to mess with the radio. I think they did have Disney music even back then in the trial.
They did. But and I think you've ridden a minivan since then, right? I remember you had one from the airport, I believe, but I've tried to order a minivan since then, like before the COVID, and like for some reason, like the waits were really long. So I don't think I've done a minivan since that weekend. But it was just so cool to be part of that experience, being some of the first to ever try it. And I think it's a great service. I'm glad that it's an option for those that aren't comfortable necessarily ordering an Uber or Lyft on their own without the Disney touch. But then it gives you that flexibility. Like if you need to get somewhere quicker or more direct, you have the minivan option.
So here's my picture. Now, my picture that I pulled up randomly from 2017 is from, let me get the date here. Let's see if I can figure out the date. It's from August 9th of 2017. Now, this was during the podcast cruise, and it's a picture of me, you, and Paige in Cozumel right here, holding we have medals around our necks in Cozumel at a cantina, because we are the champions of the Amazing Race Cozumel, which we had a great time on this cruise with a bunch of our listeners. Everybody was doing this. A lot of our listeners went to Paradise Beach that day. Actually, Pam went there. I think Liz went there.
Yeah.
We decided to do this like 3-person team. And I mean, this race around Cozumel was exhausting. Like we're out there like 4 hours. Like, I mean,
it was a while.
It was hot.
I mean, an hour of that might have been just sitting in the bar afterward, the cantina afterwards, because we dominated.
We set a course record, they said. They probably tell it to everybody, but we're going with it. But I mean, it was fun. Like I remember that day, like we went into a market, we had to smash an egg. If you're a fan of the Amazing Race TV show, it was pretty similar. Like Paige had to get like a henna tattoo that was a clue. We had to go into a museum and decipher some clues with some art. We made Paige dive into the bay and go down to a sunken treasure to get a clue. Like it was fun.
I learned so much about you and Paige that day. Like I learned you two are ridiculously competitive.
Oh, dude, we were going to win. I mean, and we were going to set a course record. There was no question about it. I was so fired up. Yeah.
One of my most memorable moments of that, because I Paige like jumping in and like trying to find like the clue underwater or whatever, like is a big memory. But I remember near the end, like, because there was another team that was kind of on our tail. I remember, like, they were getting close. I think they were from Houston, because I remember they had like all these Texans gear on.
Yes.
But like, we had to like speak Spanish to like just like a normal like pedestrian. Like, we had to ask them like, can you tell me what this means in English or whatever? Like, they gave us like a Spanish term, and like that was like the clue to get to the next thing. And I just remember Paige just going up to like all these people, like rattling off this stuff. Like I was just so impressed at like how eager and badly she wanted to win this thing. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we're both super competitive, but it was fun because we got to really see the whole, like it was a putt portion. You had to play 3 holes of putt. You got to see parts of Cozumel you probably wouldn't see. And if you're ever going to Cozumel, I would recommend it, the Amazing Race Cozumel. It's fun.
Yeah, actually, it was funny. Like after that, like. The three of after we've done that, we had our margarita to celebrate our like nachos or whatever, and then the three of us ended up in a Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. Why don't you tell that story? I don't know.
But the best part is then we get out, and this guy like just like got dropped off by a taxi, and he gets out of there. He's like, "Dude, you're the guy who got hypnotized last night."
Yes. Oh yeah, we should have told that story. Anyway, yeah, maybe that photo will come up. All right, so that's that story. You just Rickied that story, by the way. That was totally a Ricky moment where you went one step too far.
One step too far. Well, and Ricky, a tribute to Ricky today for her not being here.
Yes,
I had to do that.
What that is. Perfect.
Okay, so here's a photo of this is so I'm jumped to 2018 now. This is July 4th, 2018. We all know July 4th in America, Independence Day, baby. And you've talked about this a couple times on the podcast, how we've eaten dinner in France many times on July 4th. And we're not even in this photo, Mike. It's the Pams. We have your Pam and Pam Forrester in France with a gigantic bottle of champagne.
That is huge. What's that about? I don't remember that. I remember the big.
So, I remember that we were doing some weird point system. So me and Steve were kind of like, hey, like we should make tonight fun where like if someone does something crazy, they get like X amount of points and we see who has the most points at the end of the night. And they saw that bottle just kind of sitting like as a divider between like two tables.
Yeah, it was like
I don't know which one of them took it, but one of them took it and they're like, all right, we're gonna drink this bottle, like get a photo of it with this. And like they instantly got like 1,000 points. But
yes,
but we had a lot of fun. Like that was great. I just remember that night, like we were trying to like just come up with ridiculous things that were legal, like nothing outrageous, but it was just fun, ridiculous things.
That's what you do.
And we're just trying to have a point system just to make the night a little different, a little more interesting on 4th of July.
That was a good idea because the park was packed. We're just waiting out for the fireworks and we weren't going to ride any rides because the wait times were crazy. So that's what we did. We were like, okay, do something fun, get a picture, and we'll rate, 1 to 10. How many points? Yeah, that was a good point. Now, here's one from, this was from, it's in 2018 as well. This was actually June 30th. So it's probably that same trip, but earlier. I wanted to see if people remember this. Now, we were staying at Coronado Springs for this trip. Our family was. Do you remember when I have so many of these? I must have stayed at Coronado a lot.
Oh, yes. I have so many of those too.
When they were building the Grandestino Tower, they would give out these pins of the 3 Caballeros in the rooms because of the construction. And I have probably 3 or 4 sets of these pins around where, it's like, pardon the construction. Here's these pins so that, to compensate you for, the noise and the construction going on during your trip. So I have those. I just found that picture, but also that trip, I found another picture. And this is kind of interesting because, over the last year, what's the biggest attraction we've been spending so much time talking about? It's Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Cosmic Rewind. But look what we went to see at Epcot that same day. It was the Guardians.
Oh, yes. In the theater.
It was at American Gardens Theater, and I think it was like the Cosmic. It was the Awesome Mixtape, I think is what it was called, right? Was that what it was?
Something like that. Yeah, it was really cool because they were all like dressed up and they were playing like classic rock songs and stuff. Like I thought that was fun. Like I think people thought it was kind of cheesy and like a lot of people walking by just passing it, but I got great value there. We just sat there, we were able to bring like a shaved ice or whatever from Japan or like a beer or whatever, and we just sat there and watched them perform. It was awesome.
Oh, and it was that same day I had my first ever whoopie pie. Oh, so good over at Sunshine Seasons. All right, so give us another picture. I'm just kind of going through and stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, look, oh my gosh, this is just our thing. There's the picture. I was riding Living with the Land. There's our guy right there at the end of the ride there. So that's
so awesome. So I jumped to 2019 and we're on July 5th now. So you get a theme here. We like to hang out at Walt Disney World and Disneyland on 4th of July because we're at Disneyland this year. So here's 3 awesome dudes with their captain hats.
Oh on. Yeah, I love that.
It's me, Mike, and Steve with our captain hats at the Grand Floridian. And what are we about to do, Mike?
That one, I'm going to say we were celebrating a certain podcaster's milestone birthday and getting ready to take. Now, this is one of those things that I think every Disney fan, it's kind of like it is. I mean, it's kind of like a bucket list thing, right? Like you hear about it every once in a while and you think, man, I'd like to give that a try. That sounds like a cool experience. We got to spend a couple of hours on the Grand One out of the Grand Floridian.
It was so awesome. And my girls, unfortunately, couldn't do it because we had an illness caught us. So it was just, I was the only gardener there, but we had such an awesome time. And the reason I'm saying that is that I know you're saying kind of remember when, because at that moment in time, like we were seeing what we thought was a superior fireworks show. We got to see Happily Ever After right from the lagoon. And what was cool about the Grand One is that they would pipe in the music from the yacht, but like the pontoon boats don't pipe the music. And so I always found it interesting where like all these pontoon boats try to get close to the Grand One so that they could hear the music. And we just felt like we were ballers because we actually had the music piped in on our yachts. But, little did we know at that time, that Happily Ever would be going away. So that's one of my best memories of watching the show, celebrating Pam's milestone birthday. Good news is we're going to be getting it back, right? I don't know what kind of version of Happily Ever After we're going to see in the future, but that was just a really cool experience. I think you said it right, Mike. Like, I think every like real like hardcore Disney fan, basically anyone listening to this podcast, should try to do it. And you can make it least expensive by finding a big group, right? If you do it with a group, you can definitely make that more affordable.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, obviously, it wasn't cheap, but we had such a large group that when we definitely had fun, right? I mean, we made it like the event. Where did we have dinner that night, though?
I think we split up. I don't think we all had dinner at the same place because I want to say we like went to like Flying Fish or something, maybe.
Yeah, because we didn't do that. I think we just had dinner and met you there somewhere
Yeah.
else. But yeah, it was definitely. I mean, it was worth it for what we paid. It was because we had so many people on. I mean, I think held a ton of people. Here, okay. Here's a picture I just found randomly from 2019, I think as well, maybe. But how many? No, this is from way before that. And this is
Oh, okay.
now here. I bring this one up because apparently you can't. I'm about to sneeze. Apparently you can't do this anymore. That over the last week, there's been signs at Space Mountain telling you must put your phone away. Which I mean, I have no problem with that because I'm only about getting knocked out by a phone because Space Mountain does kind of like weave in and out, and like sometimes you're above other cars. I get that. Like, I mean,
That's
it's not-
dangerous.
yeah, it is. I mean, but I don't want to be like Universal where you got to put your phone like in a container. That I won't ride the rides there. This is my thing with that. I don't give up my phone. But here's the thing. That was the picture we're talking about is the selfie of us, as we're loading into the rocket of all of us. And the funny thing is like that isn't that long ago, but we all look like kids.
I know. I was just okay. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't even recognize us in that photo. What year is that from?
That's from 2019, July 8th.
Wow.
It's not even out. It's 3 years ago.
That's so crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's the right call. And like, what kind of good video footage are you even going to get on Space Mountain? You're in the dark, unless you're just trying to record like the audio or something. But
okay, so hang on, I got a better picture from the day before. This has got a good.
There we go. We got another one.
Ready? It's this one. And so what it is, it's both of our families standing as we entered the Boardwalk Villas from a side door. And if you see this picture, we'll have to post these pictures maybe on Instagram. Yeah. We are drenched. We could not have been wetter. If like we went into, remember that? Well, you lost your wedding ring on this attraction actually back in the day.
Yeah.
The backlot thing where they hit you with the wall of water, the movie thing. We couldn't have been wetter because we left the studios. Didn't we? What was the story? Do you remember the story? I mean, we got drowned.
It was so wet. Like it just poured and poured. And I remember I know I told this story before. So our girls ended up riding Tower of Terror like during this storm. And you like really wanted your peanut butter and jelly.
Yes, that's why you go to the studios. You gotta
you're like, all right, you guys ride Tower of Terror. I'm gonna go get my milkshake. And I was like, I think I said I was gonna go with you. But somehow the storm like separated us. Like, I mean, that's how massive it was.
It was a bad storm. I mean, it was one of those Florida storms. It poured so hard it hurt. Like,
and the visibility was none. So I think that's how I lost you. Like,
I think so.
You were like, I think you just started like power walking. I was trying to walk fast. People are cutting you off. You can't see. So I lost you. So like, that's how you ended up there by yourself. And then I did end up seeing you at some point. It was just I wish I had a photo of it. The visual of you in this downpour, like holding like the to-go cup of the shake.
Yes, I mean, it was like I was holding like a Oscar statue or something.
Yeah.
Like something that was priceless, like a Cy Young Award. Mm-hmm. I was not giving that sucker up. Like, no, I don't care. Like if I get hit by a hurricane, I'm gonna die with a peanut butter and jelly shake in my hand. But we
walked back to the boardwalk, and I remember I took my shoes and socks off. Like I just walked barefoot because like my shoes were so drenched. I don't think I've ever been more wet in my life.
There's no way. It was impossible. And the thing was like at the studios, and if you've ever, and I'm sure every one of our listeners has been in this situation, right? You're in the parks and like, it's time to go. But if we would have walked, I mean, we were at the boardwalk. I mean, you weren't going to walk to, there was no other way to get back. You weren't going to walk to a bus. We didn't have a car. Yeah. And I mean, you were already just drowned. I mean, so it was miserable. I mean, it was terrible. And you think like, oh, it's not, because we always tell people, oh, you stay at the boardwalk. It's an easy walk back to the studios. Dude, this was like survival. And of course, Paige is with us, Mallory, Emily, everybody's complaining. I mean, I was probably complaining, It was, I mean, it was like an episode of Survivor, but it's like one of those things. Once you get past it, it's a hilarious picture. It's a great story, but at the time, man, nobody was happy.
No one was happy, and I'll never forget that visual as long as I live of you just walking in trying to protect your shake from the rain.
You're holding a Disney bag with your shoes in it, like
that's what it is.
Bag, the Disney plastic bag, and you got on sunglasses.
Yeah,
nice. You notice that in the back. Yes, perfect.
Oh man, so good.
Give us another one.
I told this story before, but I just had to bring credit to it again because it's one of my favorite all-time memories. So this is from January 13th, 2019. It's you, me, and our great friend Dave Lawrence in the shot. I think you might be able to see like Neil's shoe maybe in the background. But his Marathon Sunday, I did not run that year. It was a classic Scotty G thing where I just showed up like 2 nights before, ran the half marathon, was going to run the full. Then I decided like I'd rather cheer because they still actually had registration available, which is kind of nuts. And I just stood out there in Mexico. That's the day I met Neil, and me, Neil, and Dave, we became Team Margarita. My wife was probably freaking out when she saw the credit card bill because I spent so many dollars on chips and guac and margaritas, but it was so fun, man. Like I've never cheered a Disney race before in my life at that point. I'd done so many of them. It was so awesome to be on the other side, giving high fives to everyone and handing margaritas out to even strangers. It was just a cool experience.
Yeah.
You came back and you started doing it too.
Yeah. Cause I finished the race and I obviously came straight back into the park and hung out with you. And I mean, I run most of the races and don't spectate, but I had more fun hanging out with you. Like, cause you were giving out margaritas and like, they were going bad. They were going bad, but like the ice was melting.
Yeah. So we started just giving them to whoever.
Yeah. You're like, this one's going bad. Who wants one? I mean, people are like, why are you giving me a margarita? And you had chips and guac. And I mean, it was, because people are celebrating at that point. You're mile 26 of the marathon. It was like a party. I mean, it was like a party right there in front of the pyramid. That was one of the
and Dave was like halfway on the course giving people high fives. Do you remember
Dave was a mess. He was Eileen's pulling him back. Like, I mean, like the strength coach in a college football sideline or the NFL, the head coach is like going across the line. The strength and conditioning guy is usually the get back guy. Eileen was the get back gal that day. I mean, it was awesome. That was one of the best days ever.
And what was so funny about that, someone posted a photo. I ended up getting tagged by it. I can't remember who tagged me. It was like Scott Gardner. I think this was you. Someone posted a photo in a different running group of them crossing the finish line holding a margarita, and their caption was, "Thank you to the stranger who handed me this margarita." It was 100% us, man. It was our group. It had to have been.
So here's a fun day, this picture, and we've done this a couple of times. This is just friends where you get to do something that's very cool. Our good friend Mark Yerkes, shout out to the White Sox up in Chicago. We've gone fishing with him because he's an avid fisherman and he's got the hook up. He knows a couple of the fisher, the people the fishing guides at Walt Disney World very well. And he always invites a lot of us to go fishing with him super early in the morning. But it's a really cool experience. And this was just a morning with a bunch of friends out on Bay Lake on a pontoon boat. And I'm not a big fisherman. You aren't either, right? I mean,
that was the first time in my life I've ever done it. Only time.
I don't touch fish. But, but Mark, man, he's like, he knows everything. And, we don't want to look like we don't know what's going on. So we go out there with him. Phil's with us, our good friend Phil Scheingold. Paige was with us. We're having just a blast out there on this boat, just hanging out, telling stories. But, Scott and I are trying to pretend like we're fisher dudes. Like we know what's going on. We don't know. And of course, the guide's super nice. If you ever do these fishing excursions, they'll bait your hook for you. They take care of it. Like if you catch a fish, they'll take it off the hook for you.
Yeah.
But we caught some decent sized fish that day. And so if you catch a fish, you kind of have to like hold the fish and get a picture with it. So I caught this gigantic bass, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I'm holding this thing, like my thumb's way in its mouth, holding onto its tail. And I'm just thinking this thing is going to bite my finger off for sure. Like my thumb is going away. And I think Scott's taking the picture actually. And I mean, I'm trying to smile, but I'm standing in this pontoon boat and it's pretty steady, but there's waves and stuff. And I'm like, I want to get the picture. I'm like, dude, get the Contemporary behind me because we're out on Bay Lake. because I'm a Disney fan. Like I want to get the contemporary more than I do. But this fish is wiggling because it's still alive, right? And it's big. And I'm just like, I got this look on my face in this other picture, like, take the dang picture because I just want to get rid of this stupid fish. It's in my hands. I am not a fisher guy. And Mark's probably like, dude, that's like an 8-pounder or something. I know how big this thing is. I'm just like, I just want to chuck it into the water. But it was, it's one of those things like, again, Walt Disney World gives you the opportunity to do things with friends. And again, I've said this many times, you and I, you're from Michigan, I'm from St. Louis. We don't get to hang. If we lived in the same city, we'd hang out multiple times a week. It'd be awesome, but we don't. We live 500 miles apart. So we get together at Walt Disney World. And because of that, when we're there, we do cool stuff. We fish, we run races, we do parties. But you get to do fun stuff with cool friends, and it's like that. Fishing. I mean, because of Mark. Thanks, Mark. We'd never get in. I had a blast, but it took me totally out of my comfort.
It was fun. I was not a good fisherman. But it was cool. Like we went way out there to start. Like it was a great way to see like Bay Lake. It was the Bay Lake is where we were. We saw like where the ferry boats are docked, for the night and all that stuff. But my story for that day, I am going to share it though. I don't know if you remember. You'll remember when I say this, Mike. So we were close to like the contemporary. So we're close to the contemporary, and I'm out there fishing, trying to get something. And I like announced to the crew, like, guys, I got something. So I started everyone's getting excited because I haven't had much luck as everyone else. So I'm starting to reel it in. And then I see what's kind of coming off my line. And I'm like, I think I shout like, Captain, I need help. And he's like, what is it? And when he looks over, there is a bird on my line. Somehow I caught a bird.
You did.
And so it was this giant black bird. Like it's all this commotion. The captain's coming over to help me. He just had to end up like cutting the line. There was no way to we released the bird, but it was a struggle. Like I was worried that he was going to get bit. Like you were talking about getting bit by the fish. I thought we were going to get attacked by this bird. So I don't think I ever caught a fish that day, but I did catch a bird. As weird as that sounds.
You didn't catch a fish because you didn't have to hold the dang thing. And it's all luck, right? I mean, it's just because you just chuck it in there and. Well, I mean, I guess fishermen have skill. I don't know. For me, it's totally luck. Just throw it in there. And I mean, yank it on me. I think I might have even had a bobber. I can't remember, but I brought it in. Who knows? There's probably a scuba guy under there putting the thing on your hook. Yeah. But I got a fish and you're just like, you didn't get, but you pull that bird out there. We're like, that's not right. I think Paige caught a turtle.
Yeah. And people were like there watching. That's what was like embarrassing about it. There was like people like, oh, look. They're like showing their kids, like, look at those Greek people like fishing. And then I'm getting attacked by this bird.
Yeah, not good.
Not a good sales pitch. No.
All right, so give us another one.
Yeah, I got another one here. It's from December 6th, 2020. I wanted this photo just to capture a moment in time because like I like seeing photos like this because it just remembered that period. So it's you, me, Liz, and Emily at the Skyliner station wearing our masks.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where, it was the requirement was to wear a face covering. And I think this is us like departing away from a trip. And I kind of wanted to talk about this day because it goes down as a historical day because your life has changed in this moment, Mike, and you don't even realize it yet. Maybe you have realized it, but that was the day that I introduced you to the Madame Cork.
Oh my gosh, really? That was the day. Oh yeah. man, that's a red letter day.
So your belly is very happy in this photo, and little did you know that you're just gonna crave that breakfast almost every day for the rest of your life. But yeah, so that was a great trip. We were at the Riviera. That was the year we raised a bunch of money for Give Kids a World when you and Ricky were like on site doing like the Million Lights podcast, like the 12-hour show. That was so awesome. But you were staying at Caribbean Beach. I was at Riviera. You stayed one night at Riviera, and that day, both of us were leaving that day. But we had breakfast at the Riviera at Prima Piata. I was like, Mike, you got to have this breakfast sandwich. I've had it 5 times this trip already. I've had it every day of this trip. Like, you got to try it. And now you rave about it all the time on the show. That was the day the Madame Cork was introduced to you, and that was a good day.
That was a good day because I shouldn't have probably had my first one because now it's like the first one's free because now I'm addicted to that sucker. Like I should have never had that sandwich at the ABC commissary either because ever since like my life has changed because I can't stop eating those. Give me one more though from that trip because I'm looking for my 2020 pictures. I'm trying to find it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
because that was a unique. Because I want to find that. What was the date when we were down there together when we like the part? Remember,
it was in
so
August. It was in
Okay,
August.
August. Okay, because like when the Magic Kingdom was closing like at 6:30.
Yeah, so I have a great photo from that if you want to share it. But the one I'm thinking of is like I have this great photo where we went to Liberty Tree, right? Like the Magic Kingdom closed at 6, but I think we had a 6 p.m. Liberty Tree ADR. Got filled up. Got to have Sandy. That's when you met Sandy, the great server at our great friend over at Liberty Tree. And then we left, and it was still daylight. Like the sun was starting to set, and there was no one in the park. So we went, we kind of did the slow stroll out, made our way to Main Street, got into the hub, and you, Mallory, Liz, and Emily were like, getting all these photos of the castle and the partner statue as the sun setting. And one of my favorite photos is me behind all of you, taking a photo of you all taking the photos. Like one of my all-time favorite photos, just because there's not a single person around. And all those photos we captured from that session are great. I actually have a printed one in a frame, on a canvas that's in our dining room. Cause that's just a photo I love to see because it takes me back to that special time. And then you can see the castle and the partner statue with not a single person around. It's so awesome.
It was so weird though, because we were leaving the Magic Kingdom as one of the last guests for the day, and it was still light outside. Yeah. I just remember I remember I appreciated it at the time as a Disney fan. Like, this is probably never going to happen again, where you're leaving in the summer while it's still light outside and you're taking pictures because you're one of the last guests in the park.
Yeah.
It was bizarre. It was like, the equivalent of leaving at 1:00 in the morning, but it's still light outside. And it's like, it was a weird time because it was 6:30 and everything was closed and you're going back to your hotel.
Yeah. It was, a moment in time. I know Joe saying he would trade the mask for zero crowds. Like that didn't bother me at all. Like I actually the reason I went to Walt Disney World that week was because I was actually happy with the way they were doing their protocols. It felt safe to go there, right? Like everyone's wearing masks, like they're cleaning and sanitizing everything. It felt safe to go. So I was like, let's just do it and capture that little bit of history. And it's just a memorable trip. Like the photos are outstanding. You just never get anything like that. Remember the photo we took in front of the Tree of Life where we're all doing our hands are reaching out? There's not a single person in sight in that photo.
The PhotoPass photographer said, okay, I need you guys to make your arms as wide as you can make them. So we were sprawled out as far as we could go across that area in front of the Tree of Life. Not a soul in sight, because they're awesome. You're never going to be able to get this picture again. So do this. Yeah, it was.
But a funny story about that Magic Kingdom when we're leaving there, because we took this long stroll out, right? No one's in there. It felt so weird because it was still daylight. And we were staying, I think my family was at the Wilderness Lodge, I think. I know you and Mallory hopped on a bus to go to Pop, and we went to a boat. And there's all these people sitting on the boat as we get there. And oh man, I wonder how long they've been waiting here. How long are we going to wait for this boat? And we get seated down, and then someone walkie-talkies the captain and okay, all the guests have left. They were waiting to make sure all the guests have left. So we were we had to been literally some of the last people that left the park that night.
Oh my God, they're Scott's out of the park now. We can't.
Yeah, they just walkie-talkie yep, we're clear.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Joe in the live chat says he's got a picture of the boardwalk being completely deserted except for them during this time. So during that time, because this will be my last picture because we're a little short on time, but I want to show this to you because I want you to clarify for me. Now, I remember we were at the studios during the same trip, and this is in the Beauty and the Beast Theater down there on Sunset. Now, was this the Grand Floridian Orchestra at the time? And as I scrolled through them, I see Lumiere is out dancing around because, of course, during this time, most of the live entertainment was gone because they couldn't, nobody could be close to each other. They couldn't have live action. The performers, the musicians were all spread out. And I guess Lumiere was safe because he was, covered up. But was that what that was? I believe it was a live mini orchestra kind of.
So it wasn't called the Grand Floridian Orchestra. It had this different name. I don't know if it was the Sunset Orchestra, Sunset Boulevard. I can't remember the exact name. I'm sure I can find it out. But you're exactly right. That's what it was. And it was awesome. Because they would, they played this great set list, and the Beauty and the Beast live on stage characters would actually come out, and perform a little bit. kind of reminds me of when we saw the Pixar show that was there too, Mike.
That was such a cool thing. I wish they would bring that back. That was one of the best things because I love live entertainment.
I love live music. I mean,
yes.
no offense to the Beauty and the Beast live on stage. Like, I love that show. It's been around a long time. If they could just do like some alternate them, right? Like maybe like every other show is going to be this like live band, and then you'll get your Beauty and the Beast show the next hour or whatever. Because there was nothing like sitting in that theater, just seeing the live entertainment, as you said, and the live music. Both of those shows, when you talk about remember when, like, man, I remember when, and I wish it would really come back because those are awesome memories.
But I get it. I know live entertainment is probably expensive, but I mean, how many times have we gotten feedback from listeners saying, Streetmosphere, live entertainment, Grand Floridian Orchestra, like
that's what we pay. That's why we paid that top dollar. Like
I guess
that's why I go to Walt Disney World instead of Six Flags. Like you always kind of point that out.
Yes, 100%. Because I think it's like hard to quantify how much you like that stuff and like what's the dollar value. Like Disney probably has a hard time saying like what's the return of investment on having a six-piece orchestra play some music in this 3 times a day. But man, like I maybe it's because I'm getting older and maybe on surveys people would rather have rides. But I like to sit down and really, because they always get top caliber people. Like when you see, like for example, when the Main Street Philharmonic comes out at the Magic Kingdom, those guys can kill it. Like the snare drum player, the trombone player, the trumpet player. Like they play that thing like they're not even thinking. Like they just play that thing like like I type on a keyboard. Like and I just love it. Like they're just messing around the crowd, but then when their part comes, they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I mean they're playing it like Louis Armstrong. That's why I go to Walt Disney World. Like, because that guy has so much talent or that lady has so much talent. Man. It makes me smile. It makes me happy. Like I can't get that anywhere else. It's awesome.
And that's what's so great about the concert series at Epcot. Like you buy a ticket, like annual pass, Magic Away ticket, whatever, and you spend your day at Epcot, you can see a great act like during the time of the season, like with the festival. Like I saw Boyz II Men. That was built into my ticket. Like if you were to go outside of like that, you're gonna spend like I don't even know, like $60, like $70. Like I don't know. Like it's amazing that I think it's a really overlooked thing that Epcot. I know I'm going down on a tangent here, but I think when they have like even during the Festival of Arts where they had the Broadway performers or the Eat to the Beat series, like there is some really great value in your theme park ticket by just being able to see a concert, like or the candlelight processional during Festival of the Holidays. Like there's so much great value there that I think that's under the radar a lot to me.
People don't take advantage of that though. It's like the 5th, 6th, 7th trip. But once you're like, oh yeah, bonus. You don't have to run around like a chicken with their head cut off. Okay, give us one last picture. We'll duck out of here. We'll turn everybody loose for the weekend. And let us know what you think of the show. Kind of different, but kind of laid back for a Friday.
One last picture. All right. I was not ready for that, but I'm going to go to the summer of 2022, which was this year, because we gotta do something about Disneyland.
Yeah, because I got my Disneyland sweatshirt on as we are recording, which I appreciate. And first time ever at Disneyland for me. I got a picture I hope you pull up.
Oh, there's a particular one?
Okay, so here, I'll tell you the picture.
You tell me the picture. You tell me the picture.
I'll tell you the story. The one ride there's a bunch of rides I really wanted to ride. But there's one we just kept never getting to throughout the trip. We spent 5 days in the theme parks. In the one ride, weirdly enough, that I really wanted to ride was the Casey Jr. circus train. Because again, it's not at Walt Disney World. And just Fantasyland at Disneyland was awesome. I just loved it. Like I loved how the teacups were outside. I loved the storybook canal boats. So we finally got on the train. And where did we ride, Scott? All of us. Because there were 5.
There's six of us.
6 of us.
And we're in the monkey cage.
We're in the monkey cage. Man, we are crammed in there, but it was such a fun. It's just one of those things, like, we was towards the end of the trip. And like, I was just like, I'm on the Casey Jr. circus train with my buddies, with basically family.
And we're all wearing matching shirts.
All matching white Disneyland Mickey Mouse sweatshirts. Life couldn't have been better on that ride. I mean, it
really couldn't have.
That's why you go to Disney, right? I mean, that was my quintessential. I'm at Disneyland. Like, this is it. We're on the Casey Jr. train going around this little loop. And it was, I mean, you could not have wiped the smile from my face. It was
Emily and Mallory may disagree because they're like in the back, like completely crushed by the adults. But
who cares?
And you know what was great about that too? Because like I'm glad we did it at night because like I always say this all the time. Like theme parks take on a whole different personality at night. If we could have done that during the day, it would have been awesome. But something about doing it at night just like it electrifies it, you know, like that's the word I want to use. And like you see it all lit up and there's all this lighting and neon, and like the ride ended up being like way longer than I thought too, because like, all right, we're crammed in here. It's going to be 10 seconds and we're out. Like, no, it was like way longer than we thought. It was so much fun.
Yes. Okay. So Dennis has a comment real quick. Favorite Disneyland memory from this past summer, posing with my wife and boys with our freshly made lightsabers in front of the Millennium Falcon and Galaxy's Edge. I have a great picture that is my lock screen on my phone. And I think that's why we're so lucky nowadays with all the digital technology is that you can make that your lock screen. And every time you get a, social media update or, a push notification, like boom, you get to see that great memory and takes you right back there. And now, with iOS 16, not to get too nerdy, you can have it like rotate through photos. You can make a photo album and just get, many, different photos throughout the day, which is, I love pictures. I mean, I was one of the very first people I know that bought, this was like 20 years ago. Did you ever buy one of those photo frames where you put a SD card in?
Oh yeah. I have one at my desk, Mike.
Yeah. I love it. I bought one of those forever ago. And that was the greatest thing because I love pictures. But I love being able to see a bunch of them. Greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, Joe, they weren't airbrushed, they're real ones. Pictures or sweatshirts. So anyway, here's the deal. We hope you enjoyed some of our stories, but here's what I was thinking too. It's the weekend. Maybe you're out traveling with the family, going here, there, and everywhere. Tell stories in the car. You know what? If you're not driving, go through your photos on your phone and just pull out a photo and say, oh man, remember the time. And you know what? Here's the good thing about Disney trips and travel in general is that it's fun while you're on the vacation, but it's also fun decades later, right? You can tell this, you can recall the stories, and sometimes the stories get bigger and better with age. They might not be always true 100% of the time as they get older, but who cares? They're fun. So as you're traveling this holiday season, pull out the phone and do what we just did. Pull out a picture from 15 years ago, from 2 years ago, from 7 years ago, and talk about that time at Walt Disney World where you crammed into Astro Orbiter, or, that time where you saw Illuminations for the last time, or you were on a Disney ship. Share those stories with those you love, recall those memories, because that's what it's all about. That's kind of the goal of this podcast, to inform, but also to share some laughs and to share some memories. So we hope you did that today. Scott, it's been fun. We've made some memories. We're going to make a ton more, but man, thanks for doing this. This has been a ton.
Yeah, thanks. This is a fun episode. I feel like we got to do this again sometime. Like this was a good one. We got plenty of more stories to share.
All right. Hey, we're going to get out of here. Let's get on the weekend. Don't forget, show's always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out this weekend over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link as you shop this weekend as well. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the Be Our Guest Podcast. You guys are amazing. You support us. You let us do these shows. And I can't thank you enough for that. You get that bonus show as well, Mike in the Midwest. So if you'd like to join us, coming over, patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Follow the Scott on social media at EPSCOT, EPSCOT, Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike. Give me a follow as well, Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget, this Sunday night, it's our holiday family get together on Facebook and YouTube, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Not necessarily Disney, but we want to hear about your holiday memories. What was that favorite toy you got as a child? What was that favorite toy you never got and you're still not over it? I never got a Nintendo and I'm still not over it. So we could talk about that. What kind of Christmas cookies do you make at your house? What kind of traditions do you have for Christmas Eve? What do you celebrate? Maybe you don't celebrate Christmas. Maybe you celebrate something else. We can talk about it all. And this will be a fun show to take with you in the car that the whole family can listen to as you travel right up to Christmas season. So we're going to get out of here and wish you a very fun weekend, a safe weekend. So for Scott, I'm Mike, wishing you a happy Friday and a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All righty. Thanks, everybody. That was a ton of fun.
That was fun. I like that one.
That was good. All right.
I got to roll.
Let's go eat.
Emily's got driving at 8 and we got to eat. So
have her play Outrun on the PlayStation before you go.
Okay.
There you go. All right. See, tell me how it is.
Yeah.
All right,
yep. See you, everybody.
See you, everybody. Bye.